Good morning, ma. Welcome to All for Online Education. Commerce theory part for the first year's English medium. The chapter that we are dealing with is the 9th chapter, Sources of Business Finance. So this is the 4th session of our chapter. So here we are discussing about the retained earning. So retained earnings means, if for example, if a company got a profit of 10 rupees, in that 10 rupees it will give 5 rupees to the shareholders, both equity shareholder and preference shareholder, and 2 rupees to the creditors, and 3 rupees are left with the company. In these 3 rupees are kept as retained earnings, means they will save that 3 rupees for the development of the business or further survival of the business organization. Okay, let us I will explain you, by that you can understand what it is. A company generally do not distribute all its earnings among the shareholders as a dividend. If a company getting 10 rupees, for example 10 rupees earnings means 10 rupees profit, then it will not going to distribute the total 10 rupees profit to the shareholders. Okay, it will share half percentage or 75% of the profit, and it will keep 25% as reserves. Okay, 25% దాచి పెట్టుకుంటారు వాళ్ళు. Okay, for the development of the business కావచ్చు, for the expansion of the business దానికోసమైనా కావచ్చు. మొత్తానికి మొత్తం వాళ్ళకు డివిడెంట్ రూపంలో ఇవ్వరు. దే విల్ సేవ్ certain amount for the future use. Okay, a proportion of the net earning may be retained in the business for the use in the future. So whatever the portion that has been saved for the future purpose, it is used for the future. This is known as retained earning. Simply we can say that among the total profit is not distributed among the shareholders. Okay, in the form of dividend, the total amount is not distributed. A certain portion of that profit is kept aside, and that is used for the future development. That is known as retained earnings. It is a source of internal financing. Internal financing means the organization or the business itself create that kind of financing. Okay, it is not going to borrow from any other money lenders. It is not going to borrow from the shareholders or anything. It is just created by itself. The business itself, it is created that internal financing or self-financing, means the business itself created such a financing or plugging back of profits. Plugging back means when the dog dig the have you seen the dog digging the sand? శాండ్ని డాగ్ డిగ్ చేసినప్పుడు చూసిండ్రా, ఆ కాళ్ళతో ఏం చేస్తుంటాడు, వెనుకకి నూకేస్తుంటాడు. ఆ శాండ్ని మొత్తము కుక్క ఏం చేస్తుంది, కాళ్ళతోటి వెనుకకి నూకేస్తుంది. సో అదేవిధంగా ప్లగ్గింగ్ బ్యాక్ ఆఫ్ ప్రాఫిట్ అంటే whatever the profit is there, for example 10% is 100% is a profit, in that 75% is distributed to the equity shareholders, preference shareholders and debentures, and the remaining 25% is plugged back, just like how the dog dig the sand. In the same way the company will dig that profit and it saves something, save that amount for the future use. So what are the merits of these retained earnings? Let us see. So retained earning is a permanent source of funds. Retained earning is a permanent source of fund available to an organization. So it is a permanent source of fund. Okay, because it is self-financing now, so that is a permanent source of fund that is available to the organization. It does not involve any explicit cost. Explicit means external, బయట నుంచి వచ్చిన కాస్ట్ కాదు ఇది. In the form of interest, dividend or floating cost. We no need to pay any interest, we no need to pay any dividend, we no need to pay any floating cost. Floating cost means the cost which is continuously changes. The interest rate which will be continuously changes, that is known as flotation. Okay, so here we no need to do these type of activities because this finance is an internal finance and self finance which is created by the company itself. As the funds are generated internally, there is a greater degree of operational freedom and flexibility. As these fund is generated within the organization, so there is a more freedom and flexibility in the degree of operations. Operation means activity. The business can perform their activities very freely and very flexibly, means it can change its activities or it can change the nature of its business because it having more amount of reserves, so that it can make certain changes or it can introduce a new product. So those things can be done by with the help of these retained earnings. It enhances the capacity of the business firm to absorb unexpected losses. If there is a sudden loss, okay, if there is unexpected loss, in that case also it will help the business to absorb that unexpected loss. Okay, whatever the loss is caused, that loss is also can be claimed. The loss amount can be paid by the business with the help of the amount which is reserved. Okay, which is reserved, that is retained earnings. The retained earnings are used to pay the losses which are unexpected losses. For that purpose also it will be helpful. It may lead to increase in the market price of the equity shares of the company. So by maintaining more retained earnings, it will increase the equity shares price. Okay, the shares price will be increases. The company which maintain more retained earnings, that company shares, equity shares price in the market, in the share market, those company shares price will be increases. So these are the advantages of the retained earning. Let us focus on the disadvantages of the retained earning. Those are the limitations. Okay, excessive plugging back may cause dissatisfaction among the shareholders, as there would get lower dividend. More plugging back, if you plug more and more amount back, if there is a profit of 10 rupees, in that 10 rupees profit, if you are maintaining more return earnings by giving less dividend to the equity shareholders or preference shareholders, they will dissatisfied with the dividend and it will create a problem for the business organization. Okay, it is an uncertain source of fund as the profit of the business is fluctuating. ఇది కంటిన్యూషువల్గా రిటర్న్ ఎండింగ్స్ అనేవి వీళ్ళు సేవ్ చేసుకొని పెట్టుకోగలుగుతారని చెప్పలేం. బికాస్ ఎప్పుడు ప్రాఫిట్ వస్తుందో అప్పుడు మాత్రమే వీళ్ళు సర్టెన్ అమౌంట్ని తీసి పక్కన పెట్టుకోగలుగుతారు. అదే లాస్ వస్తే ఆ లాస్ట్ ఇయర్ ప్రీవియస్ ఇయర్ ప్రాఫిట్స్ ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో ఈ ఇయర్కి వాడుకోవాల్సి వస్తుంది. సో దెర్ ఈజ్ నో కాన్స్టాంట్ స్టెబిలిటీ అనేది దీంట్లో ఉండదు. ద ఆపర్చునిటీ కాస్ట్ అసోసియేటెడ్ విత్ దీస్ ఫండ్స్ ఈజ్ నాట్ రికగ్నైజ్డ్ బై మెనీ ఫర్మ్స్. సో వాట్ ఎవర్ ద ఆపర్చునిటీ కాస్ట్ ఈజ్ దేర్, okay, there is a certain opportunity cost which is associated with these kinds of funds that is not considered by many of the business firms. These may lead to suboptimal use. So the retained earning can't be used fully because it will create some type of disturbance in the business organization, so that the shareholders get less amount of dividend and they are dissatisfied, and also the profits are not always, the business can't get the profits all over the years. Okay, so in the year 2020 we have COVID-19. Now new virus is also coming. Yes, for the 2021 new virus is also entering into the world. So at that time the business can't end the profits, it will face more amount of losses. At the time there will be no returned earnings. So that's why he is saying that there is a fluctuations in the return earnings. One time it will be more, one time it will be less, sometimes it will be zero. Okay, Next there is the opportunity cost, opportunity of expanding the business, and opportunity of introducing a new product. The type of things most of the firms do not give preference to that kind of things, because sometimes it may be successful and sometimes it may be failure, so they will not give such more importance to this, and these may leads to suboptimal use. Suboptimal use means the return earnings what we are saved, okay, the returned earnings what we are saved, that is not completely used, okay, that are not completely used, that is not completely used. And also one more thing, that suboptimal use means not fully used. This is about the demerits of the limitations or demerits of the returned earnings. Let us focus on the debentures. Okay, the debentures are an important instrument for raising long term debt capital. So with the debentures we can raise it is an instrument by that we can raise long term debt capital. Debt means appu nana, debt ante appu, so long term debt capital, appu meeda capital ni తీసుకురావచ్చు, చాలా long time వరకు ఉంటుంది ఇది. Okay, the money, the company can raise fund through the issue of debentures. So the company can raise the fund by issuing of debentures. The company will also issue the debentures, just like how it will issue the shares, in the same way it will issue the debentures also. It bear a fixed rate of interest. So the preference shareholders will get the fixed rate of dividend, the debenture holders will get the fixed rate of interest. ఇది గుర్తుపెట్టుకోవాలి, preference shareholders will get the fixed rate of dividend, ఈ debenture holders will get the fixed rate of interest. The debentures issued by the company is an acknowledgement that the company has borrowed a certain amount of money. So if a company is issuing debentures, if a company is issuing debentures, it means that it acknowledgement means it will indicate that the company has borrowed a certain sum of money which is promised to pay on the future date, okay, which is promised to pay on the future date. For example, it has brought on 24th 12th 2020 and it is promised to pay the total amount, that is rupees 50,000 rupees on 24th 1st 2021. It is a promise to pay on that day. Up to that it will get the interest on that amount, okay, it will get the interest on that amount. The interest plus principal amount is also given, the interest plus principal amount is also given on the future date. Debenture holders are therefore termed as the creditors of the company. So debenture holders ni ఏమంటామంటే creditors of the company అంటాం. ఎందుకంటాం మేడం అంటే debenture holders కి కంపెనీ బాకీ ఉంది కాబట్టి, కంపెనీకి బాకీ ఉంది కాబట్టి డిబెంచర్ హోల్డర్స్ కంపెనీకి ఏమవుతారంటే క్రెడిటార్స్ అవుతారు. ఇది బాగా కన్ఫ్యూజ్ అవుతారు కాబట్టి తెలుగు లాంగ్వేజ్లో చెప్తున్నా, అర్థం చేసుకోండి. డిబెంచర్ హోల్డర్స్ ఎవరైతే ఉంటారో వాళ్ళకి కంపెనీ బాకీ ఉంది, ఓకే, కంపెనీ బాకీ ఉంది, వాళ్ళ దగ్గర నుంచి అమౌంట్ రైజ్ చేసింది, సో కంపెనీ వాళ్ళకు పే చేయాల్సి ఉంది కాబట్టి డిబెంచర్ హోల్డర్స్ని ఏమంటామంటే క్రెడిటార్స్ అంటాం. కంపెనీ బాకీ ఉంది కాబట్టి డిబెంచర్ హోల్డర్స్ని క్రెడిటార్స్ అంటాం. మరి కంపెనీకి డిబెంచర్ హోల్డర్స్ క్రెడిటార్స్ అయినప్పుడు మరి డిబెంచర్ హోల్డర్స్కి కంపెనీ ఏమవుతుందంటే డెబిటార్ అవుతుంది. ఏమవుతుందంటే డెబిటార్ ఏమవుతుంది, డెబిటార్ అవుతుంది. ఓకే, సి కంపెనీ ఏమో డిబెంచర్ హోల్డర్స్కి ఏమవుతుందంటే కంపెనీకి డిబెంచర్ హోల్డర్స్ ఏమో క్రెడిటార్స్ అవుతారమ్మా. డిబెంచర్ హోల్డర్స్కి కంపెనీ ఏమవుతుందంటే డెబిటార్ అవుతుందా డెప్టార్ అవుతుంది. ఓకే, డెబిటార్ అంటారు, కొంతమంది డెప్టార్ అంటారు. ఓకే, సో అది అవుతుంది. దీనికి రెండిటికి కన్ఫ్యూజ్ అవుతారు, అందుకనే చెప్పిన. సో సీ హియర్ మెరిట్స్. Debentures are preferred by investors who want fixed income at a lesser risk. So debentures are preferred by those who want a fixed income and with a low amount of risk. There will be no risk at all in the debentures. Okay. So the debentures are fixed charge funds and do not participate in the profit of the company. So they do not participate in the profit of the company. Whatever the profit of the company, whatever the loss of the company, whatever it may be, they will get a fixed rate of interest every month. The issue of debentures is suitable when sales and earnings are relatively stable. So when we have to issue the debentures means when our sales and earnings means income is stable, means it is a constant. When sales are very good, we are getting good profits, then we have to issue the debentures. Okay, as the debentures do not carry voting right. They do not carry any voting right. How the equity shareholders got the voting right? The debenture holders do not carry any voting right. Financially, through the debentures do not dilute the control of equity shareholders on the management. So they will not participate in the management. They will just take a fixed rate of interest and they will go aside. Okay, they don't have any voting right, so there is no problem for the equity shareholders right. Okay, whatever the equity shareholders rights are there, that are constant only. Okay, because these debenture holders and preference shareholders don't have the voting right because they are not the owners of the company. Okay, financing through debentures is less costly as compared to the cost of preference and or equity capital. So getting income from the debenture, rising capital or income or money, rising finance or capital from the debentures is less costly, means it is less expensive as we compare with the equity shareholders and preference shareholders. That is very expensive. The equity preference capital and equity capital is very expensive as compared to the debentures, because debentures will charge very fixed rate of interest and that rate is also very low, as the interest payment on debentures is tax deductible. So while paying the tax, while company paying the tax, if it has the debentures, then from the total amount the debentures amount is deductible. మినహాయింపు ఉంటుంది అన్నట్టు, పన్ను మినహాయింపు కూడా వీళ్ళకు ఉంటుంది, మీన్స్ tax deductible. Debentures are deducted from the tax. వాటి మీద ట్యాక్స్ పే చేయాల్సిన అవసరం ఉండదు. బట్ ఆన్ ద ప్రిఫరెన్స్ క్యాపిటల్, బట్ ఆన్ ద ఈక్విటీ క్యాపిటల్, ద కంపెనీ హ్యాస్ టు పే ద ట్యాక్స్. But on the debentures capital, whatever the capital brought with the help of the issue of the debentures, on that there will be no any tax. Okay, there is no tax, they are completely exempted. So these are the advantages of the debentures. So let us meet in the other session with the disadvantages of the debentures and also the variation between the shares and the debentures. Okay.